None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. We're not born free. Let me remind you this. We cannot move around freely. We cannot live where we choose to. We need passports and work permits. We have to follow rules and laws that we didn't agree to at birth. We have to work to survive and earn this thing called money. We're the only species that has to pay money to live in the world that we're born into. We have to pay taxes to escape jail. This is not freedom. Clearly, this is called slavery. Why the world is so messed up, why nothing works, and why things just seem to be falling apart around us. This is the presentation that I recommend everybody should watch. Many of us have seen the movie The Truman Show. It's actually a great example of how easily we can be controlled and manipulated to believing something that is not necessarily true. Truman, as you may or may not know, is a baby that is born into a TV show. And everything around him is created and fake and synthetic just for him so they can have a TV show. And when they asked the producer of The Truman Show, why does Truman simply accept this fake reality around him? How come he doesn't realize that he's being controlled and manipulated on every level? The producer answers, we accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. And just think about it, that's exactly what happens to us. Let's look at our reality, right? Our reality, like Truman, is as follows. We are born, we go to school, the harder you work, the more you get. That's what we're told all the time, right? We find a career and suppress our talents. Remember how many times children tell their teachers or their parents, yes, I want to do this. And the parents or the teachers say, well, that's great, but how are you going to survive doing that? So everything is constantly skewed back towards money and making money so that you can survive. And we're told that competition is good. Competition is the mother of invention. Without competition, there'd be nothing. That's probably one of the most disgusting lies that we've been fed. And unfortunately, this is internalized in our subconscious. And we keep thinking that's one of the fear factors that keeps driving us, that we have to constantly compete and be better and get to the top of the pile. What happens when you get to the top of the pile? Somebody else wants to get to the top of the pile and knock you off your perch. So clearly that's not going to work, right? We believe in all-powerful governments and their control. Got all our lives as we're growing up, we see the governments, the control. We are told that we appoint and elect our governments to be our servants, but you know by now that that's not true. The governments are not our servants. But a lot more about that. We have borders, we have passports. You can't just go from one place to another. We have laws. We become citizens at a moment, at some stage of our lives. You're a baby, then a toddler, then a child, and then suddenly you're a citizen, and now suddenly you're the possession. Somebody owns you. Your country and your government owns you, and they can do whatever they want with you. And we get told over and over, don't trust anyone. Don't trust anyone. What kind of a world is this where you go around constantly fearing and not trusting anyone? I don't want to live in a world like that. Survival of the fittest. Yeah, you have to be fit. You have to be survival of the fittest. This is what's shoved down our throats. That is not necessarily true. That is, in fact, completely the opposite. Even when you start looking at genetics, that is not true. And those people that work in the genetics field and still believe in that need to go and re-examine some of their fundamental basic knowledge. Money makes the world go round. That's what we are told. I'd like to remind you that we live in a world of abundance. We don't live in a world of scarcity. Unfortunately, this is what's been painted for us. And we're constantly told that things are scarce, that there's not enough of this and not enough of that. A world of abundance is what surrounds us. We just need to figure out how to set up this world around us that we can tap into this abundance. Just think about it. Every day, about 7.5 or 8 billion people wake up and they do something. We do so much every day that boggles our mind. If you just think about what we do, how we build, we grow food, we transport, we carry, we create, we invent, we dream, we paint, we sculpture, we sing, we cook, we dance, we fly. We do an infinite number of things every day, 7.5 billion people. And yet at the end of that day, most of us cannot afford what it is that we've created. We just don't have enough money to buy the cars that we build or the airplanes that we build or the food that we grow, because we keep doing this for corporations or government departments or somebody else. We should be doing it for ourselves, but we ultimately end up doing it for a third party, and we do not have access to the things that we create. The technology that surrounds us is all created by people, not by corporations. Keep this in mind. In this world of abundance, there is more starvation today than ever before in the history of our planet. More people today die on a daily basis from starvation than ever before. I believe that nobody wants to live in a world of this scarcity and this misery, this poverty and this hunger that grips the world on so many levels. It is also deeply depressing to know that about 1/3 of the food that we grow gets discarded every year. According to the United Nations, about 1.3 billion tons of food gets discarded every year. Not because there are no people that want to eat the food. We clearly know there are hungry people everywhere. But the food gets discarded because there's no one to buy it. There's more homeless people today than ever before in the world. More sick people today than ever before. More mentally disturbed people today. More children dying every day than ever before. People everywhere live in misery. There seems to be no happy outcome to the political and the economic mess of this planet. And this, I think, is potentially the biggest problem, that people feel trapped. They cannot see a way out of this mess. Every year, every month, every day, every week, it gets more difficult and harder to survive. People are having to do 2 or 3 jobs just to survive and pay the bills and put bread on the table every day. Our global system is broken. The global economic system and social structures are broken. It is out of control. Clearly, everybody can feel that. It cannot be fixed. We have to find a new system. A system in which money is no longer needed. As Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same kind of thinking we used when we created the problems. Clearly, we have to use a different kind of thinking, and this is where it starts to get very, very exciting. What happens if we remove money from the system? What will happen? Everything suddenly gets a lot easier because you're removing the hurdles to progress. But then the million questions come up. Well, how is this going to work? How is that going to work? How is this going to work if there's no money? What happened since 2005, there have been these 5 points, what I call the 5-point mantra of contributionism. No money, no barter, no trade, no value attached, where everyone contributes their talents and skills for the greater benefit of everyone in their community. It's only when you realize that every aspect of your life is being controlled, manipulated, restricted by laws, bills, acts, courts, judges, governments, and even the Bill of Rights, you'll find, is an absolute assault on our rights, where we believe it's actually a Bill of Rights, of human rights. You will learn that that's not actually the case. So remember, from the first breath you take to the last moment you breathe out, our lives are controlled by those who control money. We're enslaved by money and the socio-economic structure and the socio-economic system that we're all born into. In the movie The Matrix, Morpheus describes what the Matrix is. And in essence, that's what he's describing. He's describing the global slavery system that's driven by the royal political elite that control the money and so forth, and possibly some hidden faces behind those that control the bankers. It's really important for everybody to just digest this and realize it. The sooner we realize it, the easier it is going to be for us to get out of the system. Money is the tool by which we are enslaved until we come to terms with the truth about money, what money is, where it comes from, how it was created. We'll forever remain the subjects of those who control the creation and the supply of money.